It's day 64. The day was not as light as I predicted it would be, but still not bad. And because I was not among the last people to get back to the station, I shouldn't have to worry about it.
Waiting for you, right?
Yes, ma'am. 64 is fun because it's a 2 to the 5th power. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. It's also a square, of course, so you can make an 8x8 grid. I don't think... Is a checkerboard 8x8? No, I'll have to look that up. I've been listening to a podcast called The Devil You Know about the satanic panic of the 80s and 90s. It's hosted by Sarah Marshall, who was previously one half of the You're Wrong About podcast. It's interesting to me for a lot of reasons. The connections to Dungeons & Dragons, which I enjoy playing, and also because I experienced some of that growing up in the Methodist church. We got warned about how if you played records backwards, you could hear satanic messages, and that heavy metal music, the horn sign that people make with their hands was the horns of the devil, and that music was dangerous and satanic. It never quite rose to the level of persecution that it did in a lot of places, but I got some of those messages, and so it's interesting to me on a lot of levels. But one of the things that Sarah Marshall talks about in the most recent episode is what life was like before the ubiquitous availability of information, and nostalgia for the days when you could be bored and just be bored, and you had to figure out how to make your own fun because you didn't have a way to play games in your pocket all the time. And one piece of that she mentions is the feeling of, if you didn't know something, you kind of just had to not know it unless you were at a library or had reference books available to you in some other form. But there is something to that idea of, what does your brain do when it can't just search the internet for the answer? This part is me, but I and it's conjecture, but I wonder if there is a kind of reasoning or musing process that you go through when you think about the possibilities of the answer to the question that you've posed, or that has been posed to you. Do you just think about and try to figure out the answer with whatever knowledge you already have, in a way that you don't in the age of just being able to Google it? I feel like there must be, but I'm, of course, neither a philosopher nor a neuroscientist, so it's going to remain my conjecture, I suppose. But I also wonder if we might be heading back to something like that as the internet is increasingly taken over both inputs and outputs by, scare quotes, artificial intelligence. It's always been true that not every answer on the internet is reliable, but as AI takes over more of the searching of the content that is also being more frequently generated by AI, its reliability is going to, I think, get even worse. And so it feels in some way like we've spent literal trillions of dollars untold amounts of materials and work hours in infrastructure to come all the way back around to the guy at the bar who's 4 beers in, proclaiming a fact with absolute certainty and being wildly, completely wrong. What is the world like when the most ubiquitous, reflexive, information searching tasks hardly ever return reliable information? I don't know, but I think we're about to find out. Thanks for being here. I'll talk to you again soon.